just food-wise, that you just had to commit to the bit that you had to get rid of?
Yeah, I definitely have. We do DEXA scans with Maddie, and I've definitely, trimmed down some fat, gained some muscle. Lean mass has gone up a good amount. Seeing, some good numbers on the catapult with the strength staff, which is, exciting to see. Seeing growth there. But yeah, I would say every Thursday, I did it with Keegan, our quarterback coach, and it was my freshman year, we did it with Max. We get Taco Locos, we get a wet burrito, and it was a big loaded burrito, and it was so good. And now can't do that anymore. But that was probably my one cheat meal that I love.
You talked about players setting PRs, speed wise. Have you done so yourself?
Yeah, I have. I think last year I was around 18.6, and this year I actually hit 20 for the first time. So that was exciting for me. Seeing a lot of growth with the strength staff. They do a phenomenal job. But I mean, there's guys flying. People have hit 22.5, 22.6. We've hit some really high numbers this year. So it's definitely exciting.
When you went back and watched all your games from last year, kind of dissected it and really able to get away from that deep press, what stood out?
I think I can do a better job for my O-line. I think there's times where, I step up or, I get out of the pocket too fast or don't trust up front. I think our O-line does a phenomenal job, so I think I got to stay in there more, trust my guys and trust my wideouts to make plays and throw some more contested balls for them. I think everyone's doing a really good job this summer, and that trust is just continuing to build. So I'm excited for that.
Do you think that just comes from experience and reps and having been in those situations before?
Yeah, for sure. I think when you're a freshman, you're almost trying to stay above water and focus on yourself and those kind of things. And now it's like you can add to the cup. I'm really comfortable within the offense, and now it's building everybody up and getting us to the level that we need to be.
We've seen your name attached in NFL mock drafts, potentially as a first-round guy. Have you seen those, and how do you kind of react when I'm sure you have a family member or two that send it over to you, just saying this could be what the dream ends up being?
Yeah, I'm ultimately just focused on my guys. I think when you start, putting your head in those kind of areas, I don't think you're the person and the player you want to be. I'm genuinely focused on my teammates, my coaches, being the best leader I can for them. And I think ultimately everything will handle itself, and just focusing on, right now, so I can ultimately be there for my teammates, and be there for my coaches.
What lessons did you take away from the Manning Passing Academy?
Yeah, it was super fun. I think the Mannings do a great job setting up the camp. I think it's really cool because you get to see all the quarterbacks that you don't sometimes get to watch on TV, whether that's a bye week or watch an opponent's film, which is ultimately really cool getting to have those conversations. But, we had a scout come in and talk about the draft process and all that kind of thing, which I thought was super interesting to see, his perspective on things and, what they look in college quarterbacks. But you learn so much from them, and just on the field teaching is on another level. So it was super fun to get to do that.
Drake, what are the cautions? Excuse me. What are the cautions maybe that the coaching staff puts on you a little bit as far as design, run play, running football?
Yeah, there's not really too much talk on that. I think each play, has an option for me to do certain things within the play. Checks, those kind of things. Ultimately it comes down to, reading defenders, seeing if there's space to make a play, and ultimately trusting my legs too. I think I can do a better job of that year, is trusting myself to, get 6 to 7 yards and, get down or whatever the case might be, whether it's third down, fourth down. But I think just trusting myself, trusting my teammates.
Would you expect to run the ball a little bit more this year?
Yeah, I think when you see it, you got to go, and I think, being able to, trust myself to do that. I think last year I didn't ultimately trust myself in those situations, but I feel like, this year I trust my O-line a ton. I trust myself. I trust my coaches to put us in that situation. And I think that another big thing is, trusting Darius in the backfield blocking, which has grown a lot for me.
Speaking of the running game, you talked about making better reads at the line and just making better decisions in terms of what running play to use. So.
Yeah. I think Ashton, our center, does a great job with that. I think, there's sometimes where I want to change ID, and he's like, no, we're going here. And that was a lot last year. And this year, I think we're doing a great job being on the same page, over-communicating, which I think, having my center back is one of the biggest things, because we have that trust within each other. He knows I'm the same most of the time. I know when he's going to talk. I know when I'm wrong because he's going to look at me and tell me, which is awesome to have from him. But no, up front, they're doing a great job communicating. It's good having Greg at left guard and those guys back.
You've got a lot of new faces in the wide receiver room this year. Anybody, how's that group come together? Anybody that you've had an early chemistry spark with?
Yeah, I think all of them, honestly. It's really, really good. The details are really good within that room. Coach Richie's doing a great job, holding them to a high standard, getting them in there a ton. you know, the wideouts really want to be here, which I think you don't always see. They're always in the building getting extra catches, you know, sending me messages, what can I do better within Indy and the summer workouts. Jalen was texting me all last night about Indy, Jalen Smith, so he's doing a phenomenal job leading that wide receiver room. But no, I'm excited to see what they do for us this year.
If the running game is going to find consistency this fall, what is the biggest thing that has to happen?
Yeah, you know, I think me and Coach Harbaugh, that was what we're really focused on this offseason, but I think I can do a way better job, obviously, getting us in the right runs. I think there was times last year when I wasn't doing that, which ultimately would result in negative impact within the run game. And if we would have alerted it, it could have been 5, 10, maybe an explosive run. So when you look at that part, I think ultimately I have to do a better job getting us in the right checks, and I think everything will take care of itself.
Got time for 2 more for Drake?
You're going into your second year as a leader here at the University of Minnesota, and I'm wondering what you've learned about yourself and the game of football during the off season.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think from myself perspective, I think last year it could be challenging at times because you're trying to define yourself as a leader within this organization and you haven't felt like you've earned anything completely. And as you play a full season and go into the off season, it's a little bit different because now you know you're the guy coming back, your teammates trust you. So I think you definitely have the ability to get on guys more, but I think ultimately leadership is you have to know your players too, and I think that comes down to building a personal relationship with them first. But some guys you might be able to get on really hard, and they're gonna be able to take it and respond. And some guys you have to be there with them and uplift them through hard times and difficult times. So I think I've done a good job of learning myself as well.
Drake, so what are you weighing in at?
I'm like 228 to 230, typically in that range in the morning. So and at night 231, 230 after eating and everything. But yeah, right in that range.
Where did you come in at?
I think like 247 as a true freshman. I was a big guy. Still a big guy, but in better shape.
Also Drake? All right, thanks,
Thank you
Drake.
guys.
I think